is about to communicate to the House on whether that quorum has been raised. At least we can see members have at least made their way inside, and we believe that that particular quorum has been achieved.
Order, members, we shall begin the business of the day.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Member for North Imenti, Honorable Rahim, you have a petition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm reading a petition regarding compensation and allocation of land to Mau Mau war veterans. I, the undersigned, on behalf of the Mau Mau freedom fighters of Meru County, draw the attention of the House to the following. 1. That Section 3 of the Kenya Heroes Act establishes a legal framework for the recognition. Madam Speaker, I cannot be heard because of the noise.
Honorable Kangogo, and the Tiati MP, you are blocking the speaker from the person on the floor, from the member on the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I repeat, I, the undersigned, on behalf of the Mau Mau freedom fighters of Meru County, draw the attention of the House to the following. 1. That Section 3 of the Kenya Heroes Act establishes a legal framework for the recognition and honor of national heroes, stipulating that a person shall be considered a hero if they have selflessly contributed and sacrificed for the nation in any of the functional areas, including the liberation struggle. 2. That since Kenya attained independence in 1963, a section of Mau Mau veterans who have endured displacement by the colonial government through discriminatory laws and flawed land policies, include forced evictions, have never received any form of reparation. 3. That despite the formation of the Mau Mau Veterans Association, MMWVA, which was intended to unify all Mau Mau veterans, regional leaders of the association were never appointed and the funds allocated by the government were misappropriated, leaving veterans and their families without the desired economic relief. 4. While regional associations such as the Nakuru District Ex-Freedom Fighters Organization, therefore, were established to advocate for land rights and other forms of reparation, veterans from other groups, other regions, including Meru, were excluded from these initiatives. Number 5, that previously Mau Mau war veterans, notably through organizations like Ndefo, were compelled to consolidate resources and fundraise to purchase land from white settlers, excluding many who could not afford to participate. Number 6, that most of the land formerly held by white settlers has since exhausted lease periods as provided under Article 65 of the Constitution. However, the National Lands Commission, despite its mandate to initiate investigation either suo motu or upon complaints into present or historical land injustices and recommend appropriate redress, has never investigated pre-independence land injustices perpetrated against the Mau Mau. 7, that the relentless efforts by Mau Mau war veterans to seek closure and obtain reparation for the violations of the economic rights, evictions, forced labor, rape, and murder committed by the British colonial government have remained unaddressed. 8, and that the issues raised in this petition are not pending before any court of law, constitutional body, or any other legal institution. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Petitions Committee, 1. Intervenes to ensure that the Mau Mau veterans and their families are resettled on their ancestral land, which was alienated by the colonial government and the white settlers. 2. Recommends the establishment of a regional representation of Mau Mau war veterans within the Mau Mau War Veterans Association. 3. Recommends the official recognition and commendation of the Mau Mau movement under the first schedule of the Kenya Heroes Act. 4. Engages the National Land Commission to investigate pre-colonial land injustices committed against the Mau Mau veterans. And finally, 5. Makes any other recommendations it deems appropriate in addressing the plight of the petitioners. And your petitioners will ever pray, presented by Rahim Daoud, member for North Menti, on behalf of the Mau Mau veterans. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very well. I don't know the members who have indicated interest to speak. Is it on the petition? Honorable Kengara, is it on the petition? No. Mbui, is it on the petition? No. Chepalungu? It's not. Okay. So that petition will be committed to the Public Petitions Committee. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Under papers, we have Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
What is out of order, Honorable Gonzi?
Let me sit down.
Actually supposed to receive a response of my statement by the Ministry of Defense.
We are not there yet.
Okay.
Hold it until we are in order number 7. Honorable Murugara?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 14th August 2025. A report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on the consideration of the Elections Amendment number 2 Bill of 2024, which is Senate Bill number 29 of 2024. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also I got a point of, to raise a point of order.
Honorable Murugara,
Yes,
you first lay the paper on the table.
I have laid the paper. I have a second one to lay on the table through a point of order. Honorable Speaker, my attention has been brought to a circular by the Public Procurement Regulatory
Honorable
Authority.
Murugara, hold on. Let
Yes.
us exhaust this order first. We'll give you. Honorable Gekaria, Chairperson, Departmental Committee of Energy. You are on your phone, Honorable Gekaria.
Yes, yeah, sorry, Honorable Speaker.
You have some papers to lay?
No, not yet. Not yet, Honorable Speaker.
Not yet.
No.
So okay. Honorable Murugara, I'll indulge you for the next one.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my attention has been drawn to a circular dated 12th August 2025 by the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority to various government agencies regarding enforcement of compliance with the mandatory use of the Electronic Government Procurement System, EGPS, by all public procurement entities. Honorable Speaker, I will lay this paper on the table, and I'm happy to see the chairperson of the Committee on Delegated Legislation is in the House so that this can be looked at. Having gone through this circular and bearing in mind the various provisions of the Statutory Instruments Act, this circular is actually a statutory instrument par excellence, and that it ought to have been brought to the Committee on Delegated Legislation for scrutiny and approval, because it seems to have the force of law by making declarations that failure to comply with this circular will constitute an offense. Therefore, in my view, I request you, Madam Speaker, to actually give directions regarding the circular, which I'm going to lay on the table. And the directions I seek are that it be referred to the Committee on Delegated Legislation for scrutiny. And if it contravenes that particular act, and especially because it doesn't seem to have any public participation, apart from
Honorable Murugara, you know, you and I sat in the Delegated Legislation Committee last term.
Yes.
So be careful not to do their job.
All right. Thank you.
Be careful not to
Thank
preempt.
you. Thank you. I will stop there and beg to lay this particular circular and request you kindly to refer it to that committee for scrutiny as required under the Statutory Instruments Act. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have the chair for Delegated Legislation Committee, and I must confirm that as liaison, this matter has been brought to us, the issue of e-procurement and the process of transition. I think, Chair, you can be able to shed some light on that before I commit it.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm aware that this matter was discussed extensively yesterday at the liaison committee, although I was not there. When I came, you had just concluded. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Murugara for raising this matter. Madam Speaker, this is a very grave issue, which requires pronunciation by this House. Madam Speaker, under Article 94 of the Constitution, it is extremely very clear, it's like day and night. It states as follows, that there is no person who can make anything that has a force of law, except Parliament. Madam Speaker, a statutory instrument as a force of law has just been stated clearly by the Honorable Murugara. Just for avoidance of doubt, I just want to read what a statutory instrument is under the Statutory Instruments Act, which was passed by this House, and which no one can contravene, Madam Speaker. It states as follows: a statutory instrument means any rule, order, regulation, direction, form, tariff of cost or fees, letters, patent, commission, warrant, proclamation, bylaw, resolution, guidelines, or other statutory instrument issued, made, or established in the execution of a power conferred by or under an act of Parliament, under which that statutory instrument or subsidiary legislation is expressly authorized to be issued, Madam Speaker. It is very clear. It is just like day and night. There is no state officer who has any power to issue any command that has a force of law, that if you contravene, you will be liable to certain sanctions. So, Madam Speaker, I'm very happy that this has been laid, and we will be happy, myself and Honorable Mbui here, and those other, Honorable the Vice Chair is here, we will take it up.
You are already doing the work of the committee.
No, I'm not doing, I am just
so I will direct as follows. You have given the law and how it goes. We are understanding what you're saying. But I would like that the Committee on Delegated Legislation takes a serious dive to this matter, interrogates the legal framework. You know the options also available to you via the Statutory Instruments Act, so that you bring a report to this House, and this Honorable Chepkonga may not wait on Tuesday before we go on recess, because it's a serious matter. On Tuesday, because we'll have a sitting the whole day, make sure that the report is ready. It is so directed. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Gekari, are you ready? And you're still not ready. Yeah, because you are supposed to lay a paper.
Yes, yes. Honorable
Then
Speaker,
move a notice of motion.
Yes, we were to do that. I have signed on my part because it was a joint committee.
It was to be co-joint.
Yes, my other colleague has not signed. So
It has to wait.
I have requested the clerk, and they have told me we cannot lay until he signs.
Yeah, it has to wait. Okay. So, next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We have Statements that are being, I think, being requested first. Honorable Gekaria, you are listed here. Are you ready with this one?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to provisions of Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife regarding the legality of legal representation by the Kenya Wildlife Service of officers facing criminal charges in connection with the disappearance of Brian Odhiambo. Honorable Speaker, on 6 March 2025, 6 officers, namely Senior Sergeant Francis Washira, Alexander Lerogoi, Isaac Ochieng, Michael Wabukala, Evans Kimayo, and Abdulamahan Suli, were arraigned in court and charged with the offense of abduction with intent to murder Mr. Brian Odhiambo, a fisherman who went missing on the 18th January 2025 in Nakuru. Mr. Brian Odhiambo is alleged to have been abducted by the officers at his residence in Nakuru town, and efforts to trace him have been unsuccessful to date. Honorable Speaker, it is deeply concerning that despite the gravity of the charge, the said officers remain in active service within KWS and are reportedly being represented in court by a legal counsel of the public institution. This raises concern on the misuse of public resources to defend persons charged with criminal offenses in their individual capacities, as well as likely interference with the court proceedings, considering that the charges have been preferred against the officers in their individual capacity and not on behalf of the institution. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife on the following. 1. The justification for KWS assigning legal counsel at public expense to represent the 6 officers currently facing criminal charges in their individual capacity. 2. Confirmation on whether the utilization of public funds and resources for the stated purpose complies with Article 226 of the Constitution and the Public Finance Management Act Cap 412A, which prohibits unlawful and unauthorized use of public funds, and if not, action taken to cause the responsible officer to refund the said public funds, public money. And 3, a report on the current employment status of the officers, including clarification as to whether they are in active service or in suspension during the pendency of investigation into the matter of the disappearance of one Brian Odhiambo. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair, Tourism and Wildlife Committee, is that Kareke? Is he in the House? If not, Vice Member, Leader of Majority.
Honorable Speaker, allow me to promise that when we open Parliament after recess, we'll be able to give a response, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Very well. First week on resumption. Statements to be responded to. We have the Committee on Administration, Honorable Tongoyo or Honorable Member for Saku. The question is on insecurity in Isiolo by Honorable Tubi. Is the owner of the question in the House? Honorable Tubi, not in the House. What say?
Madam Speaker, we also don't have a response to that. I think with benefit of hindsight, we expected that issue should have been canvassed yesterday when the minister was in the House. But nevertheless, we will still speak to the ministry to give us a response.
Yeah,
Thank you,
endeavor to bring the statement to the House. Another question through that is sentencing of Ms. Margaret Nduta in Vietnam. Honorable Sabina Chege, is she in the House? If she's not, Chair, Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, do you have the statement? Yes. Because the person who owns the statement is not, the member is not in the House, table the response.
Okay, I shall, Honorable Speaker.
The next one is still Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, question by Honorable Gonzi Rai, member for Kinango, on the safety of Ms. Riziki Luvuno Mambo, who went missing in Saudi Arabia. Chair, do you have the response?
I do.
The member is in the House, so prosecute it.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kinango constituency, Honorable Gonzi Rai, MP, pursuant to provision of Standing Order 442C, requested for a statement from Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs regarding the status of Ms. Riziki Luvuno Mambo in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Honourable Member specifically sought to be informed on the following. Number one, the circumstances surrounding the arrest of Mrs. Riziki Luvuno Mambo by Saudi Arabian police. Two, steps that the relevant government agencies have taken to ascertain her whereabouts and secure expeditious release from custody and repatriation to Kenya from proper physical and mental care. And number three, measures that the government has taken to guarantee safety of all Kenyans living and working abroad to ensure that they receive timely government assistance in cases of distress. The committee engaged the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign and Diaspora Affairs on the matter raised by Honorable Gonzi. I therefore wish to respond as follows, Madam Speaker. On the first question regarding the circumstances of Ms. Mambo's arrest, the ministry reported that in July 2023, Ms. Riziki Luvuno Mambo traveled to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for a 2-year contract as a domestic worker. The family reported to the State Department for Diaspora Affairs about her arrest and detention at a facility referred to as Sawari Police Station in Jeddah. Upon inquiry by the Kenyan Embassy in Riyadh, the consulate in Jeddah, it was established that there is no police facility by the name Sawari Police Station in the Kingdom. A search was conducted in another police station, but it did not yield results. Furthermore, Saudi law enforcement authorities shared with the Kenyan Embassy a list of all Kenyans in detention, custody and prison between April 2024 and October 2024, in which Ms. Mambo's name did not appear. On the second question concerning steps taken to ascertain her whereabouts, the ministry informed the committee that the search was expanded to include hospitals and deportation centers with the assistance of Kenyan diaspora networks in Saudi Arabia. The search remains ongoing, and once our location is established, the government will provide all necessary assistance to facilitate our reunion with her family. Regarding the third question, Madam Speaker, on measures to guarantee the safety of the Kenyans abroad, the ministry highlighted the following measures taken by the government. Number one is that there has been an establishment of diplomatic missions to cater for Kenya's need in Saudi Arabia, including an embassy in Riyadh and a consulate in Jeddah. And then creation of the Department for Diaspora Affairs to safeguard the welfare, rights and interests of Kenyans abroad. And number three, provision of repatriation and evacuation services in time of distress and emergencies. There is also other measure of continuous registration of Kenyans abroad at the embassies and at the State Department Diaspora Affairs for accountability. There has been signing of labor agreements, which is aimed at safeguarding the rights and welfare of Kenyans working abroad. Introduction of mobile consular services, outreach program to reach Kenyans even in remote areas abroad, and ensure they are provided with essential government services and documentation like passports, national ID, birth certificates for children born abroad, and other services. Development of legal aid information frameworks and pre-departure manuals to provide Kenyans going abroad with information on their rights and essential basic information of their country of destination. Establishment of reporting channels for distress cases via ministry's e-citizen portal, hotlines, email, and 24-hour call center at the State Department of Foreign Affairs. And the other one, Madam Speaker, is provision of emergency travel documents and financial assistance for repatriation of Kenyans in distress without passports. And finally, through diaspora engagements, the ministry continues to sensitize Kenyans on observing the laws of the host countries to avoid conflict with the law that might lead to arrests. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs further states that it remains committed to safeguarding the welfare, rights and interests of Kenyans abroad, and will continue to employ all necessary measures to guarantee their safety and well-being in foreign countries. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Before I give you Honorable Member for Kinango, allow me to recognize in the public gallery, take your seat, in the public gallery, pupils and learners from Nchoroiboro Primary School in Vuri constituency, Meru County, and I will give Honorable Dorothy to welcome them on our behalf.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the MP, Bore constituency, Honorable Mugambi Rendikiri, and on my own behalf, hailing from that constituency, and on behalf of this parliament, to welcome Nchoroiboro School in the House of Parliament. Honorable Madam Speaker, I want to encourage the learners to see what happens in Parliament. This is the house where registration is done. This is the house where oversight is done. This is the house where representation takes place. And we are here to represent the interests of the people who brought us here. Honorable Madam Speaker, Nchoroiboro School is a old school which has produced so many professionals in this country. And I'm sure the learners with us today will be part and parcel of those professionals as they go along their studies. And I want to challenge them. Now that they are in Parliament, let them produce a parliamentarian from them as well as other professionals. We leverage on technology.
We don't debate more than that, Honorable Mudhoni.
Honorable Madam Speaker, I want to encourage the girls to know that even the speaker seated on the chair today is a woman. So even ladies have an opportunity of sitting in this house and sitting in the highest seat. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Muthoni. Honorable Member for Kinango, are you satisfied with the response? If not, do you have a follow-up question or questions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. While I do appreciate what has been explained by the Chair of the Defense and Foreign Affairs, my appeal and on behalf of the family is that we still expect to appeal to the government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to expedite their search to ensure that at least Riziki Mambo is found, be it live or dead, but if she can just reunite with the family. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Chair, do you have anything else to add?
Mheshimiwa Gonzi, tutatia bidii tuhakikisha kwamba ameweza uwasiliano uweze kupatikana ili pia na wewe uweze kuwajulisha familia. Hadi wakati huo tunawaombea kila laheri na kwamba atapatikana akiwa hai.
Asante. Next order. What is out of order? Honorable Raso.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have the statement regarding insecurity in Isiolo.
The one you had just spoken about?
Yes.
Well, the person who asked, the member who asked the question is not in the house. Table the response.
Thank you.
Honorable
Much.
Clive, what is out of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Last week I'd asked for a statement from the Chair, Departmental Committee on Health, about a child who was stuck in India due to non-remittance of 500,000 shillings by Shah, which it had promised for the child to be sent there for treatment from Kenyatta National Hospital. I was promised to have a response this week, but I cannot see
It is not listed in today's responses.
I'm saying the chair had committed to respond this week, but neither is the chair here, nor is it being listed. I wonder whether the Parliament has become a house where we give empty promises.
The chair for health is not in the house. Is the vice in the house? If not, majority leader, this comes back to you. And when we give pronouncements here, they should really be honored. If there was a promise for this week.
Allow me, because the week is not over, the week includes in the afternoon,
Yes.
to get the concerned chair so that your response can be in the afternoon brief.
Very well. Honorable Mizigi, you on a point of order? No?
Not really, Chair.
Okay, okay.
Speaker, mine was just to thank my counterpart, the Chairperson of Defense and Foreign Affairs, on the response that is given to Honorable Gonzi, because Honorable Gonzi was really in a distress, and he was pushing the Committee of Diaspora to respond
Thank
the
you.
same, and I appreciated for the response. Thank you.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Report of the Committee of the Whole House on consideration of the Senate Amendment Bill, Senate Amendment to the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2022. Chairperson to report.
Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House considered the Senate Amendment to the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2022, and approved the same without amendments.
Mover, Honorable Kingara.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration on the Senate Amendment to the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2022. Madam Speaker, may I start by appreciating this House, which has come up with us all the way from 2020 when I started this bill. And by that, I appreciate Honorable Nyamai, who was chairing the committee then. The House was able to move this amendment bill, which primarily touches on public grants, gazettement, and titling, so that it is locked. Then it elapsed around 2022. We started in 2022 again, Madam Speaker, and the same House, Honorable House, found it worth to go all the first reading, second reading, third reading, the Committee of the Whole. Then it was sent to Senate. And I'm also grateful, Madam Speaker, to Senate, because as much as they came with an amendment, the amendment is so friendly because it wanted the bill to be, the legislation to be gazetted, which is important, especially matters touching public land. So, Madam Speaker, it is important to note that if we do not lock public land, then we will not have any place to put government facilities like schools, Madam Speaker, hospitals, and even police stations. Today in the morning, Madam Speaker, we wanted to work on the market land where you can put a market. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, you need an acre to do a good market for our people, noting that Ruto is so popular. It's the most populous in the country. And I could only get half an acre. I don't know how to go about it. If we are to make any progress, Madam Speaker, the government has to go back and buy land for such facilities. Well, Madam Speaker, we had ample land area which was not locked, and somebody took the land. So, Madam Speaker, I'm so grateful to everybody, especially those members who are very positive on supporting this land, including the current chair land, Joas, who also in support of this. And this, with these few remarks, Madam Speaker, I request Honorable George Mulugara to second as I move.
Honorable Mulugara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I therefore propose the question that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Senate Amendment to the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2022. I'll give Honorable Nyamai.
I don't know why it's not accepting. Okay. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. There seems to be a problem with the connection to their cards. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me a chance to make a comment on this very important bill that was initiated by the Honorable Kingara, member for Ruto. I would like to congratulate him, and also more so for the patience. This being a devolved matter, this bill was discussed here, went to the Senate, and it is so important that we ensure that land that has been given to government is properly documented and registered. And as the Honorable Kingara was saying, now we realize that we require land that is documented because of the affordable housing project. You try to get just a single acre of land in a constituency and it is impossible. We try to construct a police station, you are not able to get land, and if it is there, it is not documented. So, Honorable Speaker, this bill is very important. It is also important for the National Land Commission. They will be able to use it for a vesting of land. Land that has been acquired compulsorily for construction of roads. The reserve on the, along our highways and along even our rural roads. Honorable Speaker, it is sad to note that those pieces of land have not been properly surveyed, properly documented, and more so registered with the name of Treasury. And this is very important. And this is the reason as to why most of the government land is lost, because some surveyors who may have the wrong intentions, they leave out public land, and they go back to the same pieces of land. And because they are aware that that land has not been properly gazetted, properly registered in the name of the National Treasury, the same pieces of land are subdivided and they benefit other people. So this is a very important bill, and I would like to congratulate the National Assembly, the Senate, and this House for the good work that it has done. I hope that it sees the light of the day, because this is not the end. It will need to go all the way to become an act of parliament, and that is how it will be useful. Honorable Speaker, you take note that people who have huge chunks of land are supposed to give a percentage of their land back to government. When they do so, that land is taken advantage of because of failure to gazette it properly and failure to register it in the name of government, and that is in the name of the National Treasury. So congratulations, Honorable Kingara, and thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the chance.
Now, Dr. Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join colleagues in appreciating this bill, and more so Honorable Kingara, who has actually been spearheading the bill. My hope is also that it will see the end of the day by being an act of parliament. But even as I support this, Honorable Speaker, there is a bill I was also sponsoring, which was touching on the lives of members who are here and those who have left. And I'm sure that, Honorable Speaker, you are aware about the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill, which touches our lives as members of Parliament. I'm a bit concerned that as at now, nothing seems to be moving. I'm happy that I'm seeing the majority leader here. And I've said, Honorable Speaker, as we serve Kenyans, let's remember that very soon we'll be part of that team. It's important we also finalize this bill for the sake of the members who have left this House and those who are going to leave very soon. And I want to remind members, we are all potential former members of Parliament. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm begging that through your intentions, Honorable Speaker, we could get this bill through this House, possibly before the end of this year, because next year we are getting into politics. And it will be very difficult to prosecute a bill here touching on us as politicians when we are campaigning. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Well, Majority Leader, that's an issue that has been pending. Maybe you can give an undertaking to have it scheduled, at least this session, to be important.
Honorable Speaker, well guided, we'll take it up in the House Business Committee.
Very well. Member for Kiamba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support Honorable Kingara on this particular bill because it is very important for us to make sure that we protect the public land, especially from the same people who sometimes subdivide land and make sure that this land belongs to the public, but because they know that the land doesn't have any documentation in terms of title deed, they make sure that they also use fake titles to grab public land. We have very serious issues, especially even in our constituencies, whereby you have a school that it belongs to the public, doesn't have a title deed. You have a land that probably, even if you want to do an affordable housing or you want to build a KMTC, you want to do a TVET, you cannot be able to do that because those lands, they belong to the public, but yet they don't have documentations. Madam Speaker, this will go a long way to make sure that we safeguard the future of our children and the future of public land, because as we move forward, there is a realization that public land the usage of a public land, they are diminishing in one way or the other, and you realize that the majority of the public land has been grabbed, especially even in a constitution like in Kiamba. I was telling Honorable Kingara that even to get a public land to do an affordable housing, we don't have, because majority of those public lands have been grabbed. And now we have people who are sitting on those lands. They have constructed very serious houses, and to make sure that you are able to repossess those lands, it will become a nightmare for the government to possess the land back. So we must make sure that the retro public land we have been able to safeguard it by making sure that we offer documentations, and the National Commission must arise to this occasion, not only to do reporting, but they make sure that they allocate and issue title deeds to specific public lands. If it's a police station, we make sure that that police station has a document that even years and years to come, that probably is with the Harambee House, that is the custodian of the Harambee House or probably the National Treasury, so that we make sure we protect this few public land that remains for purposes of benefiting the public that we represent today, Madam Speaker. So therefore, I rise to support and congratulate Mheshimiwa Kingara for coming up with this bill. We support.
Honorable Member? No. Okay. Honorable members, there being no more interest on this bill, allow me to put the question. Allow me to put the question that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Senate amendment to the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2022. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025. Second reading.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I beg to move, Honorable Speaker, that the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this bill is a very short bill, almost about 3 clauses. And principally, Honorable Speaker, the intent of this bill is to have monies that are usually charged to passengers, air passengers, both for domestic and international flights, and usually appropriated or shared between the Kenya Airports Authority, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, and the Tourism Promotion Fund, to now be shared amongst these institutions, but to the exclusion of the Tourism Promotion Fund, and in its place put the Tourism Fund, which is a more centralized fund that will be better placed to ensure that this money goes to the promotion of tourism-related activities and projects. Honorable Speaker, the bill also shares out this money to the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, as is envisaged in the bill that we passed yesterday on the creation of the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority. Members are aware that this authority does not exist yet because we only passed that bill yesterday. And therefore, we are consulting, and I know the committee right now is in a meeting with the CS in charge of transport to consult around this issue and know whether, by the time we come to third reading, whether we will need to have the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority enlisted as part of the beneficiaries of these funds, or just leave it as it is for this authority to get money from the exchequer. But, Honorable Speaker, in the endeavor of the bill to allocate part of this money to the Kenya Meteorological Service is also to ensure that there's a sustainable revenue stream for the authority and able to deliver on its statutory mandate, and particularly to ensure that there is accurate weather forecasting. And you know, accurate weather forecasting is also critical for aviation safety and disaster preparedness, as much as it's also very good and effective in forecasting weather for our farmers and other national needs. But in this particular case, the intent of the bill was to ensure that this authority, as much as it will get money from the exchequer directly by appropriation from the National Assembly, and those who are here during debate on the meteorological bill, are aware that that authority has also the opportunity to get money allocated by this House for its work. But we are also looking at an opportunity to have them have another more sustainable stream other than the normal budgetary provisions. But as I said, Honorable Speaker, the committee is currently engaging with a view to proposing amendments when we come to Committee of the Whole House, hopefully on Tuesday morning, so that, again, there is no duplication. If we are appropriating money to that authority from the House, there may be no need, again, to appropriate these funds from the air passenger service charge. Honorable Speaker, this charge, as I said, is charged both on local flights at a level of about 600 shillings for local flights and about $50 for international flights. And as I said, currently this money is being shared to KAA, that usually gets the largest share because they are the ones running the airports that are patronized by the passengers who are boarding the flights. And they usually, from the international flights, they usually get about 60%, with another 20% going to KCAA and also to the Kenya Tourism Promotion Fund. On domestic flights, again, KAA gets the larger proportion, about 50%, and about 30% going into KCAA, and another 20% going to the Tourism Promotion Fund. As I said, Honorable Speaker, in place of the Tourism Promotion Fund, we are proposing that this money now goes to the Tourism Fund. One, to avoid duplication or reduce the duplication of monies that are going to various entities within the tourism sector, and improve efficiency by ensuring that tourism-related projects are supported from a single unified fund, and there is no better fund other than the tourism fund for that purpose, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I said, it's a very short bill, and therefore do not need to say much. The only other thing members will note from the bill is that unlike before, where I've said that these monies are shared out under the Act, we are now creating greater flexibility to allow the Cabinet Secretary, through Gazette notices in the Kenya Gazette, to specify the allocation of proceeds amongst the beneficiaries. So based on needs and adaptability of emerging needs, without the delays for further legislative amendments. As I said, for instance, now, if we were to incorporate the tourism fund, if you are to change the ratios as they were in an Act of Parliament, you'd have to come back to the House to allow Parliament to legislate again. And you know how long that process can take, as Honorable Makali was alluding to on the bill that he was proposing, and you're aware how long it's been here. So it becomes a little bit cumbersome if, even on sharing ratios, you have to come back to the House to legislate. So we want to give that flexibility and adaptability to the Cabinet Secretary so that if tomorrow, for instance, we think KAA requires more money because probably KAA is building a new airport, or KCAA requires to ensure greater aviation safety in the country and they require more money, it will be up to the Cabinet Secretary to propose in the Kenya Gazette through regulations the ratios through which they will share these monies. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to ask the Deputy Leader of Majority, I was looking for him. I beg to move, and as I was looking for my deputy, I beg to ask my deputy, the Honorable Owen Baya, to second this motion. Thank you.
Honorable Owen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I want to thank the Leader of Majority for ably moving this bill, Honorable Speaker. This is fairly a short bill, Honorable Speaker, that seeks to do one thing, to ensure that the money that is appropriated under the air passenger service charge, Honorable Speaker, is shared among other institutions, Honorable Speaker. And there are 3 institutions, Honorable Speaker, earmarked for that, so that the money can also be shared for utilization in those departments. One of them is the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority, which we ably yesterday passed this bill, and I am sure it will get presidential assent. And therefore, the Meteorological Services, Honorable Speaker, you realize, does a lot of work to give us weather updates, to give us, even when planes are flying into this country, they depend so much on weather forecasts so that we know whether it is safe to fly or not safe to fly. But the Meteorological Department does not have its own source revenue, Honorable Speaker, although it ensures that we are safe when flying, Honorable Speaker. So it is fair, and I want to emphasize that, Honorable Speaker, it is fair that the Meteorological Services Authority now draws some money from the air passenger service charge, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, another important beneficiary is the Tourism Fund, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, air services make a lot of money from tourists in this country. And in doing that, Honorable Speaker, we realize it is important that we continue to fund the Kenya Tourism Fund, Honorable Speaker. When the Tourism Fund is properly funded, Honorable Speaker, then we'll get more tourists. And therefore, it is okay, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that Tourism Fund also gets some money. Honorable Speaker, the fund will continue also to provide funds for the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority and the Kenya Airports Authority, Honorable Speaker. These 2 bodies will also be drawing funds from this. So, Honorable Speaker, this is a fairly short bill, and this bill, Honorable Speaker, also includes some of the amendments that are intended to be done, Honorable Speaker, includes, Honorable Speaker, showing where the money will come from. For example, the air services charge, Honorable Speaker, will also get grants, donation, bequests, or other gifts made to the fund, and also monies from any other source approved by the Cabinet Secretary for the time being responsible for matters relating to finance. Monies appropriated by Parliament for the purposes of the fund, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, for us to ensure the air services in this country are properly taken care of, then there are certain institutions that also need to be funded so that we continue to have respect in the world of air travels, Honorable Speaker. And for that reason, Honorable Speaker, I second and ask members of this House to support this bill so that we pass it as quickly as possible to ensure that we provide funds for these other bodies. Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, allow me to propose the question that the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025, be now read a second time. Member for Kathiani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to also make a contribution on this bill on the air passenger service charter. Madam Speaker, this has always existed. This fund has always existed, and it has always been shared out. But previously, it was shared out amongst three institutions. And so what has happened is that within the bill, one of the institutions has changed, the one for tourism, because these air passengers, when they make payments, one of the areas, critical areas that we want to support is the tourism sector. So basically, the money was going to the tourism promotion fund, but the new proposal is that it goes to the tourism fund, which is more central, so that it can be able to be used properly for purposes of dealing with the tourism industry. Madam Speaker, the other new one that has been introduced is the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority. The Met Department, Madam Speaker, is very, very critical in air transport because every time before any plane takes off, they must give a report, they must check the weather patterns, they must check whether there will be anything that can affect the aeroplanes. And therefore, it is one of those institutions that are critical in air travel. And therefore, it didn't even make sense that they were not being supported by the sector. So this is a very, very, very important adjustment. So I think it's important that we are able to now using part of this fund support the Met Department. Madam Speaker, the other two that were already there, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, basically requires this money so that they can improve the industry. And finally, the Kenya Airports Authority requires this money so that they can be able to also improve the facilities at the airports. Madam Speaker, it is out of these funds that we are supposed to ensure that we provide enough money slowly over the period when more and more people travel through our airplanes, that we are able to develop enough money to be able to even build an airport. Madam Speaker, I'm saying this because we have seen attempts in the recent past where there was an attempt to almost privatize our airports. And I think it's important that we use the monies that are available from our air tickets so that we can be able to build enough capital so that we can be able to start doing a new wing for our airport. Madam Speaker, some of these installations are so critical that we must ensure that the government has some say. You cannot allow certain critical infrastructure to be in the hands of private investors. And Madam Speaker, that's why I'm also concerned that we are hearing reports in the corridors of power that even the Kenya Pipeline Corporation is about to be also given to private investors. Madam Speaker, what kind of a country would we be if our distribution of energy is through private hands, if our distribution of fuel is through private hands, if our airports are in the hands of private investors? That means that someone outside government can be running this country, Madam Speaker. So I want to say that this regime must stop these games of taking control of critical infrastructure that belongs to Kenyan people so that we can ensure that the money that we have and we pay as taxes is the money that is used to be able to develop our infrastructure, not private individuals, so that we do not lose the essence of what we call governance. So, Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I think it's important that this money is shared fairly and that we be able to develop our industry for the tourism industry, the air travel industry, so that Kenya can prosper as a nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kiamba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill. But I also want to maybe state 2 or 3 things because I've been a vice chair of that committee for the longest time. And I totally support because also there is the suggestion of the merger of the TPF and Tourism Fund. But I also want to tell the leader of majority, because I know he's the sponsor of the bill, that as we also prepare to take the biggest chunk of the money to Tourism Fund, we must also put into consideration the role that probably and the policies that the Tourism Fund has been doing. It cannot be able, to support any other institutions, especially in terms of promoting tourism. But the TPF was able to do that. It was the one that was funding KTB, Kenya Tourism Board. It was, sponsoring the Magical Kenya. It was sponsoring some projects in KWS and other institutions. So as we also support the Tourism Fund, it will be prudent for us to make sure that we also give them some leeway, maybe a year or 2 before they wind up and join the Tourism Fund, because they already have existing projects that they have been sponsoring. So once we deny them the opportunity of getting that money that they have been getting, what becomes of those projects? Those projects will become ghost projects. They have been funding Ronangara, funding Kenya Wildlife Service. They have been funding other institutions within the tourism sector. So it is very, very important for us to make sure that as we release the funds to the Tourism Fund, there is enough policy to support other tourism activities beyond whatever tourism fund has been able to do. And we know because now they're the one who are in charge of Loan and Gara and probably, sponsorship of Bombers of Kenya. We also make sure that other related tourism activities have enough funds to continue attracting tourists within our Republic of Kenya, and also to make sure that they continue marketing, Kenya as a tourist destination, Madam Speaker. So I support, but I will also urge, as we see the proposal that will be brought in the floor of the House by the committee, we also make sure that as we prepare to merge the two institutions, we have also given them some time frame to complete the ongoing projects in terms of project that they have been sponsoring. Since now, once this bill has been assent by the president, it will deny them of any funds to make sure that they support other existing or ongoing projects. So there must be a transitions clause, probably in the third leading, or we would support in the third leading to make sure that they complete all the ongoing projects before they wind up and they merge between tourism and tourism promotion fund. So therefore, Madam Speaker, we are supporting, but wait to see the amendments that probably will be brought by the committee. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Makueni. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also wish to put my voice on this particular bill. And basically, I find it quite enriching. My only concern is we realize that this fund was mainly used to manage directly the services related to the airport. My only concern, Honorable Speaker, is once these funds are taken to other services, what happens to the services being managed by KAA? Because I've found out that in this particular country, Honorable Speaker, we have this habit of stopping what is working to create what is not working. And I think that is not actually very helpful. We need to understand what problem are we trying to solve by diversifying this fund to include meteorological services and others. Because we realize that if we don't improve the services in our airports, because of lack of resources, because I don't know, once we withdraw these funds from the KAA, what does it mean for them? Because already we've seen a lot of problems in the airport. Does it mean we degrade? Where will they get the resources themselves to manage the airport? Because the more we get away to other services, offloading funds elsewhere, we may weaken the management at our center of the Kenya Airport Authority, and that may actually weaken the entire tourism industry. So I think we need a very clear evaluation. A very clear evaluation that actually indicates what is not working and what is working better. Honorable Speaker, in this country we have a growing tendency of wanting floating money that cannot be said it belongs to there. Recently we had affordable housing to build decent houses for our Kenyans. Now this fund has become the fund to do anything and anything. It is not markets, it's anything. So if we are diversifying these funds and creating loopholes for people to have floating money while we neglect the core services of any fund, Honorable Speaker, I think this is not in order. So we need the mover of the bill to give us more information. What is not working now and what makes this work, as opposed to loading and diversifying funds from the management of KAA and weakening the services of the core mandate of the airlines. So I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to sit. Thank you. Very well. Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want also to support this bill. I think the justification for the institutions to get the money has been well explained by the mover and some of the members who have contributed to this bill, Honorable Speaker. It is very well justified that the KAA should get money. Kenya Civil Aviation, very good justification why they should get money. Kenya Tourism Fund, why they should get money. And then the Meteorological Services Authority, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, just a caution. If I heard the majority leader well, Honorable Speaker, the majority leader was saying that in terms of sharing the money, once the money is collected from the passengers, because it is the airline passenger service charge, once the money is collected from the passengers, Honorable Speaker, how the money is shared, if I got the majority right, you're saying that that can be left with the accounting officer, Honorable Speaker. And I think we need to be a bit careful with that, Honorable Speaker, because what we are saying is the accounting officer should be able to say how much money goes to which institution. I think resource sharing, Honorable Speaker, is such a sensitive matter that one we may need to look at it in terms of what share goes to which institution. Because at some point, there will be need for KAA to have more money. At some point, there might be need for KCA to have more money. But as to whether what percentage goes to which institution, I think that should be either left with Parliament, because you'll be able to get the justification, or instead of leaving it with just the accounting officer, left within a team of accounting officers. For example, we could say that when it comes to sharing, the 4 concerned accounting officers might have to sit down and discuss and agree what shares. Otherwise, if you leave to an individual, Honorable Speaker, we might then cause confusion and have a lot of conflict between the accounting officers. So this is something which I think as we move to the third reading, we might have to look at, Honorable Speaker, so that these particular percentages are well explained. But I think as Honorable Mboy was saying, Honorable Speaker, this idea of privatization of public institutions or parastatals, Honorable Speaker, is a matter as a country we need to engage in what I would call a national conversation, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, some of these parastatals are so strategic that leaving them to private hands might be a bit tricky for the country. And that's why I think really I would want to hear what the Public Debt and Privatization Committee and the Committee on Energy, who are discussing the KPC matter, will be telling the House on matters privatization. Because from where I sit, Honorable Speaker, I think this House will have to take time and debate this issue of KPC in a very sober way, so that we don't put this country and such a strategic parastatal, Honorable Speaker, in the hands of a private sector. But that will be debated when it comes to the House, Honorable Speaker. I only wish that the concerned committees will be able to give us the right direction, and I also hope, Honorable Speaker, that the concerned committees will not be influenced, as the President has said that the committees of this House are getting influenced. I think we'll be getting a report which is objective, a report which has been discussed thoroughly based on information provided, so that we clean ourselves as a House. Because, Honorable Speaker, you remember yesterday, as a House, we were already said to be that the committees are getting influence, for external influence. And I would want really to see us cleaning ourselves from that, if it is true. But from where I sit, Honorable Speaker, I do believe that statement, we might have to give us time to discuss that statement. Because personally, I don't agree with it. For now, Honorable Speaker, I support the bill.
Honorable Geshimo.
Honorable Speaker, I also rise to support this bill. And Honorable Speaker, this amendment is very critical, because in the previous arrangement, there appeared also to be a conflict of interest, because the CS, who is supposed also to make regulations, was also sitting in the same tourism promotion fund. And the merger of the tourism promotion fund and the tourism fund it will be very critical, because they both speak to the same. A tourism fund is for purposes of promotion of the tourism. What just needs to be ended is what the tourism promotion fund was doing, and it's not being done by the tourism fund. Honorable Speaker, looking at the amendment also, it will not be expected that an act of parliament has to be amended for the ratios to be adjusted. And therefore, when a CS is given the powers, and I think it should be very clear that it has to be through regulations that also needs to come before Parliament through the relevant committee for the purposes of that adjustment to be adopted by the Parliament. Honorable Speaker, I do support. Thank you.
Honorable Joseph Dena.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support this bill. I think the most important thing is for us to be able to look at what are the functions of Meteorological Department. And when you look at it, this is a department which has been underfunded, which has no resources. And in everywhere where you travel, and with this climate change, with floods that are happening, the Meteorological Department form a key part of our lives. And if we put it into the air service charge, which is distributed now between Kenya Airports Authority, KAA, and the other institution, this will form part and give the minister our leeway to distribute the fund. But the key factor that we need also to look at, it is how this amount will be distributed. I think my colleague has also said there is the tourism fund and the tourism TPF, which has been funding a lot of and giving a lot of grants. It's been funding Utalii College, it's been funding most of the colleges that are standing. It's been funding also tourism board. So we need to look at the moment it exits, what are the projects that they are doing and how they are going to be funded. But I raise to support this motion. Thank you.
There being no more interests, I don't see you on my system. Why are you raising your hands, all of you? Honorable Jematia, where is your card? Honorable Patrick, where is your card? Honorable Amaua, you'll have the first go. I can see your card finally.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I rise also to support this air passenger service charge amendment bill by the Leader of Majority because it is a critical legislative intervention that is aiming at enhancing the public service delivery in both the aviation and the tourism sectors. And within this streamlining of the fund allocation, it's going to eliminate the duplication and strengthen the meteorological capacity that underpins aviation safety and national resilience. Madam Speaker, in summary, the proposal of this bill is going to reallocate the aviation funds, making sure that we retain the Kenya Airport Authority and the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority as beneficiaries of the same. Madam Speaker, also redirected tourism-related funds to the tourism fund and discontinue the use of the tourism promotion fund, Madam Speaker, because it's like a duplication. And also introduce these funds to the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority as a beneficiary to guarantee sustainable financing for its core mandate. Madam Speaker, previously, these funds had been directed to the Tourism Promotion Fund, whose function overlaps the Tourism Fund. And therefore, with the introduction of the same, it's going to collect this in a way that this money will be used in a prudent way. Madam Speaker, this is a progressive move that will improve the efficiency, reduce administration overheads, and strengthen our tourism promotion efforts, Madam Speaker, while we know what the tourism is doing and the kind of money that the country is getting. Madam Speaker, the underfunded meteorological services is now going to have enough of its capacity so that it can also be able to improve on the critical areas of the aviation and also maybe assist us with the disaster preparedness that we require, and also be able to monitor the climate properly. Some of these areas, since they were underfunded, were affecting, and we really need to check on the climate as far as our aviation is to be effective. Madam Speaker, I want to request the members to support this for the benefit of the tourism industry, our aviation sector, and also the safety and prosperity of our nation. I support.
Ojematia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I also want to rise to support this amendment bill of air passenger service charge. Madam Speaker, going through the bill, you realize that it is a bill that is going to help us as a country to forge forward, and this is a bill that has been practiced in most of the regions, specifically other countries, that where we have most of these authorities merged together so that to reduce duplication of roles. If you look at TPF, that is a tourist fund, and KA and Meteorological Department, they work hand in hand. And this bill is going to help us enhance more and better quality services, because when you merge them together, Madam Speaker, you are able to get proper mandate and efficiency, and it's also going to be quite effective in most of their deliberations and work. Madam Speaker, what I like about this bill, in the statement, it's not a money bill, which is also within the meaning of Article 144(14) of the Constitution, that it is not going to cost additional expenditure to the public coffers. And this way, we are actually going to be enhancing more money, because when you put this and integrate these authorities, we are going to have better financing model. And tourism is going to work hand in hand, specifically on the matters air, passengers, and transportation of air. The Meteorological Department is going to benefit more, because this is going to enhance better explanation, especially when transport in the air is going to be done. Meteorological is going to be a key factor here. Madam Speaker, I also look at the concerns. This is not going to affect us in the county levels, and this is going to improve our revenue collections better. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support.
Member for Nyando. There's a problem with this line. The microphones have a problem. The IT team should look at it.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I also lend my support to this amendment bill on the air passenger service charge, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is true that we have had great challenges when it comes to our airline industry, and this particular fund will inevitably help boost and perpetuate a betterment of the airline industry. Madam Speaker, our pride of Africa, the Kenya Airways, even though a going concern, has also not been left behind when it comes to very, very intensive challenges in the airline industry, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was very privileged to be in New York when we had our maiden flight by Kenya Airways to America. And uninvited, I woke up too early to go to the airport to receive our airline. And it was an expression of nationalism, Madam Speaker. It was great pride indeed for our country to have our flight move straight away from Nairobi to the United States, and not piloted by anybody else but a Mr. Kariuki, who flew this aircraft for 16 hours to New York, Madam Speaker. For those of us who fly Kenya Airways, you will bear me witness that the condition of those aircrafts do not befit the condition of the international airline industry, Madam Speaker. When people are moving to the Dreamliners and Boeing 707, Madam Speaker, we are stuck into the old order. So we believe, therefore, that with this funding, together with the goodwill of our good government, that we will at least procure state-of-the-art airlines to compete with those in the international community, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our airline charges exorbitantly higher for reasons that we do not understand. Either you travel domestically or internationally, Madam Speaker. And as my friend, the majority leader says, certain times you sit in an aircraft, you have paid 40,000 one way, and the person seated immediately next to you has only paid 5,000. So this kind of disparity, particularly with the domestic airlines, also need to stop, Madam Speaker. When Emirates and Qatar Airways charge much less, it is because they believe that they do not want to make much money as a country on airport transportation. They want to bring people into their nations in order that they buy, purchase, and stay in their countries, Madam Speaker. Even if you have a layover time of 3 hours in an airport, Madam Speaker, chances of you spending money either on food or freshening up or just buying things in the duty-free shops would be very high, Madam Speaker. And therefore, this kind of notion that we can only make money by overcharging passengers need to be taken to the back burner so that we bring more people into our country. Madam Speaker, we have lost a lot of our tourists to Ethiopia, to Zambia, to Zimbabwe, and many other African nations, Madam Speaker. Yet, Masai Mara is the 8th wonder of the world, not anywhere else, of the world. Therefore, we need to put more efforts in streamlining our airline industry so that we bring many, many people into this country in terms of tourists.
Member for Game.
I've just listened to the Honorable MP for Nyando. Insinuating that you have lost tourists to Zambia and other countries without giving a statistical reference and incontrovertible data. I'm sure, Jared, you have traveled all over. At least you remember I hosted you and Madam Speaker in my house in Morristown. Beside the point. But what is important, when you choose to give figures, give concrete figures. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Nyando.
Where did you host? Morristown.
The problem again. Oh, there's one here.
We still have a problem with the IT this side.
Yeah. Where? Oh, next to me. Yeah, I hope this works. Madam Speaker, that was just don't necessarily have to answer to that. Honorable Speaker, it is true that we have had our agriculture as our best earner for many, many years. And tourism has always been our number 2 best earner in terms of revenue collection. But that has since been overtaken by light industries, Madam Speaker. So therefore, we need to pay much credence to our tourism industry and by extension, make sure that our airline industry works for the betterment of our nation, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I indeed support this motion, and I hope that it will inject
Honorable
a new impetus.
Wait, Honorable Member for Nyando. The member for Inabko looks very agitated. What is out of order?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The member of Nyando, the Honorable Jared Okello, you can see the exchange between him and his neighbor. You can see some they were relevant, but not necessary. You can see, therefore, that it is time for the mover to reply. Would I be in order, Madam Speaker, to request you to ask the mover to reply? I thank you.
Yes. To reply.
For Nyando.
He had finished.
Are you done?
He had finished.
Madam Speaker, fortunately, I got the statistics as regards to what we have lost as a nation. Honorable Speaker, in the year 2019, we did net $1.76 billion within the tourism industry. In 2022, it dropped down to 1.7 billion. Therefore, meaning we have lost 600 million towards the tourism sector. And the statistics continue, Madam Speaker. In the interest of time, I will not read it up to date. But it is true that we need to give a new approach into our airline industry and thereby, by extension, stabilizing our economy. Because as the broad-based government, we have undertaken as a people to brighten the future of this country by shedding off parochial interests and partisan interests that serve no interest to this country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, when people hope from one state to another in the United States, castigating the country that they purportedly served with dedication, it does not serve our interests at all, Madam Speaker. Therefore, for those who are geared towards improving our nation, come back to this country, sit down with us, we will show you two things: either how to protest decently, or to sit you down to tell you how to move a country under the broad-based government, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I thank you.
Honorable members, a member has risen in his place and standing under 95 for the mover to be called to reply. So I will put the question that the mover be called to reply. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to reply and thank all the members for the invaluable contributions on this bill. And as I said, towards the beginning of next week, we will be going to Committee of the Whole House as we await amendments that members may propose. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to reply.
Honorable members, I therefore put the question that the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025, be read a second time. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Air Passenger Service Charge Act and for connected purposes. Order number 12, Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you, honorable members. We are in the Committee of the Whole House, and we are considering the Election Offences Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bill number 28 of 2024.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that Clause 2 be part of the bill. Is there mover? Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that Clause 2 be amended as is provided for on the order paper. Honorable Speaker, the justification for this, Honorable Speaker, is that Section 6H provides for the failure by a member of IBC or staff to declare the results of an election under the Elections Act. The provision already acknowledges the role of the chairperson of the IBC to declare the results of a presidential election within 7 days as well as the role of other staff of IEBC to declare the results of election immediately after closing of polling. Therefore, there is no need to cascade the offense. And also the addition of unreasonably delay in declaring election results as an offense is necessary to consider the instances where a member of staff of IEBC exceeds the reasonable time frame for declaring the election results. I beg to move.
Thank you. I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. I don't see any interest in this, and I put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by majority leader. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now put the question that clause 2 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. As many as have that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. There is have it.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that clause 4 be part of the bill. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that clause 4 be amended as provided for on the order paper. And this is by deleting clause 4. The reason being that section 17 of the Act provides for the offenses relating to the use of technology in elections. The technology referred to by IBC here is equipment and processes used by IBC to carry out an election. In addition, the amendment to create the offense of digital interference with the political rights of a person are covered under various sections of the Act, including section 9 on bribery. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you. I propose the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by Majority Leader. Are these members in the House? Honorable Jared Okello, Honorable Harold Kimuge Kipchumba, nominated member. Do you have interest in contributing to? Okay, no interest in this. So, honorable members, I now put the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by Majority Leader. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now put the question that clause 4 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Long title.
I propose the question that the long title be the long title of the bill. I now put the question that the long title be the long title of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. We are finished, honorable members. I now call upon the mover. Honorable members, we have come to the end of that bill. I now call upon the mover. Majority Leader.
It's co-sponsored.
Okay, thank you. So, Honorable Minority Leader, please proceed. Honorable Mbui.
Yeah, Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Election Offences Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bill number 28 of 2024, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Thank you, honorable members. I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Election Offences Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bill number 28 of 2024, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. There is have it.
Chairperson, to report to the House.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Election Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 28 of 2024, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover, to move agreement. Who is the mover, moving agreement? Mbui?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Kimani to second the motion of agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House. Thank you.
Majority Leader?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Very well. I therefore propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Do I put the question? I put the question that this House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover to move that reading. Kathiani?
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Election Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 28 of 2024, be now read a third time. I also request the Honorable Majority Leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, to second.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. And Honorable Speaker, let me say, as I second, this bill is among the NADCO implementation bills that I co-chaired together with the party leader of Wiper, Honorable Mbui is now the Wiper Democratic Movement, Patriotic Front, and our former Vice President, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, who we co-chaired NADCO with. And these bills are very important in helping IEBC and our country to midwife the next general elections. And therefore, as I commend all those who were with us in NADCO, including Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, Honorable Hassan Omar, Honorable Amina Mnyanzi, Honorable, no, I can't thank Eugene, he disappeared. Honorable Cecily Mbarire, the able Minister for Cabinet Secretary for Energy, Honorable Pio Wandai, Honorable Okongo Mugeni, Honorable Speaker, the Leader of the Senate, Majority Leader, Honorable Aaron Cheruyot, and of course the able leadership of President William Ruto and Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. This bill now sets in pace what the country has been speaking about, the implementation phase of the NADCO recommendations, Honorable Speaker. And I therefore commend the House and both Houses actually for the passage of this bill, being, I think, the second or the third bill amongst the legislative proposals that came out of the NADCO process. The first being the reconstitution of IEBC under the amended act that we did last year, and we now have that IEBC in place. This law now goes to foster what was expected of that IEBC, and I do hope that the commission that's in place will get in motion to start preparing not just for the by-elections that are slated for later this year, but also prepare for the general election. I beg to second.
Honorable Chepkonga, you know I have to propose the question first. So allow me to propose the question, which is that the Election Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 28 of 2024, be now read a third time. Chepkonga.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. It will be a travesty of justice if I don't say something, and I appeared before the very competent committee that was chaired by our majority leader together with the Wiper, not the Wiper Patriotic Front leader, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Madam Speaker, it is questionable. The patriotic one is questionable one. Maybe the front one we agree. But Madam Speaker, I must say that the public participation that was conducted by this committee, Madam Speaker, was quite extensive, was fruitful, and I must say that the proposals that came out of it, which you have just considered, in the committee of the whole House, and now as we consider in the third reading, were very innovative and very progressive. In fact, it has come at a very timeless manner because of the constitution of IBC. And these are very important provisions that will help us in ensuring that we conduct fair and transparent and accountable elections. So I support Madam Speaker.
Very well. There being no more interest on this, allow me to put the question which is that the Election Offences Amendment number 2 bill, Senate Bill of number 28 of 2024, be now read a third time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of
Okay,
Parliament
sorry, before the next
to
order.
amend the Elections Offences Act. Order number 10, motion, consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulations 2025.
Chair, delegated Honorable Chepkonga.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulations 2025 laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 12th August 2025, and pursuant to Section 59, subsection 4 of the Affordable Housing Act number 2 of 2024, this House approves the Affordable Housing Regulations published as legal notice number 114 of 2025. Madam Speaker, Article 43, subsection 1, clause B of the Constitution guarantees every person the right to accessible and adequate housing, as well as reasonable standards of sanitation. In addition, Article 21 obligates the state to take legislative, policy, and other measures, including the setting of standards to achieve the progressive realization of the rights guaranteed under Article 43 of the Constitution. To give effect to Article 43(1)(b), Parliament enacted the Affordable Housing Act number 2 of 2024, which establishes a framework for the development and access to affordable and institutional housing and for connected purposes, which includes also, Madam Speaker, social housing and rural housing. We noticed, Madam Speaker, that there are constituencies that are very small, but with very huge populations. And one of it is represented by one of our members in the committee, the Honorable Watch, whose constituency is 4 by 4 square kilometers with a voting population of 130,000. And the area is too small, and the people that live there would not be able to afford affordable housing. So these regulations provides for social housing in place of affordable housing, so that we can be able to accommodate Article 43 of the Constitution. Section 4 of the Act imposes a housing levy at the rate of 1.5% of the gross salary of an employee or the gross income of a person that is not otherwise subject to the levy as gross salary. Under Section 5, employers are required, A, to deduct the levy from an employee's monthly salary. Number 2, they must contribute an equivalent amount as the employer's share. And number 3, they must remit the employees and the employer's contribution to the appointed authority and collector within 9 working days after the end of the month. The levy is intended to generate funds for the development and financing of affordable housing for Kenyans. Pursuant to Section 59 of the Affordable Housing Act, the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works and Housing and Urban Development has enacted regulations to facilitate the effective implementation of the Act and provide clarity on its application and implementation, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Delegated Legislation considered this regulation in accordance with the Constitution, the Statutory Instruments Act, the Affordable Housing Act of 2024, and an interpretation of General Provisions Act, Cap 2. In compliance with Section 16 of the Statutory Instruments Act, the committee held a meeting with the State Department for Housing and Urban Development on Thursday, 7th August 2025. Madam Speaker, the salient features of these particular regulations are as follows, Madam Speaker. The regulations that have been made contain very important provisions, Madam Speaker, that seeks to resolve a number of issues that the Act itself has not provided for. Among them, Madam Speaker, the regulations provides for preliminary provisions, including the citation, interpretation of certain words that have been used that were not interpreted in the Act, Madam Speaker. Of importance, Part 2 of the regulations provides for the allocation of affordable housing units. As you know, Madam Speaker, there was a lot of doubt as to whether people would be interested in affordable housing. As you know, we've just seen what happened recently when the President launched the affordable housing, and the number of people who are interested. And we saw the people who are already entering into those houses. So there has been massive interest, Madam Speaker, and the Cabinet Secretary has therefore provided the criteria on allocation of these houses and why someone would be denied, and they would provide reasons. This part contains provision on eligibility criteria for allocation of an affordable housing unit, the procedure for allocation of an affordable housing unit, the procedure of the board to decline an application for an affordable housing unit that is not successful, the rate of deposit which has been capped at 5% of the purchase price as provided under Regulation 7 of these regulations, the eligibility criteria. It also provides for eligibility criteria, how one qualifies to be allocated a house, Madam Speaker. And it also provides also for details in terms of payment for affordable housing, how you pay on a monthly basis. Regulation 11, Madam Speaker, provides for procedure for an application for a loan for the development of a rural affordable housing unit. Madam Speaker, we have found that this country is not similar in terms of the terrain and in terms of culture. What will be considered as affordable housing in Nairobi and other towns, for instance in Eldoret and other towns, Madam Speaker, where you build high skyscrapers? We found out that, Madam Speaker, in places like Turkana, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, affordable housing that needs to be constructed in those areas need not go up. You need bungalows because they have sufficient land mass that you can construct. Two, the culture of these people cannot allow them to live in high skyscrapers. So if you went to Turkana today, Madam Speaker, and you build a huge apartment, the lower floors the ground floor will be occupied, the others will remain empty. So, Madam Speaker, this particular regulation seeks to cure that and to provide. The other thing, Madam Speaker, at the beginning, people thought that affordable housing does not include shops, does not include schools, does not include a police station. All these amenities are required to support the affordable housing that has been constructed. These regulations provides for construction of police stations, of shops, of schools within the complex that those houses have been constructed. Part 4, Madam Speaker, provides for the offtake of affordable housing units. Regulation 14 provides for a list of institutions that may offer financing for the offtake of this affordable housing. It sets out the requirements for approval of an application for an application house that has been constructed and for the development of rural homes. Part 6, Madam Speaker, provides for transfer of ownership of an affordable housing unit. This part sets out procedures for seeking consent for sale of an affordable housing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this will deal with unscrupulous people who want to purchase affordable housing for purposes of speculation, so that they make it like it is their business. So what this regulation provides, that if you want to transfer, you must apply. And it also provides for the period. It provides for a period of 5 years within which you cannot transfer an affordable housing once you have purchased it. Part 7, Madam Speaker, contains miscellaneous provisions which include categorization of affordable housing units, the establishment of electronic system for the allocation of an affordable housing unit. Madam Speaker, the process of applying for an affordable housing is not going to be manual. It is going to be electronic to weed out people who want to corrupt the process. As you know, Madam Speaker, we want to minimize the human contact in terms of applications. What we have seen, and we have seen very progressive proposals from the police now, that they are saying that applications to be recruited for a police officer, now it has gone online. It is also similarly in step with what is happening in e-citizen. This will weed out or minimize corruption in the process. It also provides for the development of associated physical infrastructure, the development, the procedure where the board intends to develop an affordable housing scheme or a settlement. It also provides for procedure for offtake of an affordable housing scheme or a settlement. It also provides for the procedure for the publication of a notice, an invitation to tender, where the board intends to enter into an agreement with private institutions and persons, and the procedure for withdrawal of voluntary savings in accordance with Section 52(4)(a) of the Act, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, during the scrutiny of the Affordable Housing Regulations 2025, the committee made a number of observations. The regulations were published on the Gazette notice of 9th of July 2025 and submitted to the Clerk of the National Assembly on the 11th of July 2025 within the statutory limit of 7 days, so the regulations comply. Secondly, the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development undertook public participation in accordance with Article 118 and 10 of the Constitution. So we were satisfied that people were invited. We saw photographs. We saw the number of people who participated in various regions, Madam Speaker. And the contributions were very animated. People supported it. And Madam Speaker, these regulations are very appropriate and apt in terms of sorting out the inadequate housing that is in this nation. And thirdly, in line with Section 6 of the Statutory Instruments Act, the regulations were supported by the regulatory impact assessment. So we also satisfied that it provided for the regulatory impact assessment. And Madam Speaker, once the committee satisfied itself that all the parameters that were expected to be met within the constitutional framework, the legislative framework, and within the requirements of Article 118 of the Constitution, the committee recommends to this House that it approves this regulation. And on behalf of the members of the Committee of Delegated Legislation and pursuant to Standing Order 210, it is my honor to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulation 2025, Legal Notice number 114 of 2025. Madam Speaker, I beg to move and request the Honorable the indomitable Deputy Minority Leader, the Honorable Mbui, who is a very efficient and effective member of the Committee on Delegated Legislation. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Have a seconder? Okay, you may proceed, Honorable Mbui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support or to second the motion on the affordable housing regulations. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, I'm a member of the Committee of Delegated Legislation, and this committee is guided by the Statutory Instruments Act, which is very clear about what exactly has to be done when we make regulations. But it's important to note that when bills are passed into law, one of the things that most bills have is a part where now regulations can be made pursuant to the laws so that you can be able to, enable proper implementation of the laws. And of course, to put in details that sometimes are missing. So the regulatory making process requires, first we check whether the bills are, the regulations are tabled on time. because that is within the Act. We also check whether there is proper public participation. I know that has been a question over the years because we really haven't yet established exactly how much is adequate. But then once we satisfy ourselves that we believe that all the relevant people that are affected by these regulations have been given an opportunity to present their case, and that it has been also published in our newspapers, and various people from different walks of life have participated, then we convince ourselves that then that is enough. Then we also make sure that there is a generation of a regulatory impact assessment, which basically means that if these regulations have a way of impacting a certain sector of the community in a very, in a very robust way, in a major way, then they must come up with an assessment which is called the regulatory impact assessment. And these were all done. Madam Speaker, these regulations put details into things. For example, I'll just point about 3 of them. The first one is the eligibility criteria, because the law just says that we will do the houses and they'll be given to the contributors. But then, who then qualifies? So we have established that it will be citizens of the country. What age? We have established that it must be adult, so it must be 18 years and above. And then we've also, the regulations also have put in conditions that you cannot be qualifying and you're not eligible to get a house if you have previously been allocated another one, because then that creates fairness, so that someone cannot get a house and then tomorrow get another one and the next day get another one. So basically, the eligibility criteria makes it clear and tries to create some transparency and some fairness. Now, it also deals with the applications, because the law says that you will be able to be given a house. But then how do you get to that stage? So these regulations they indicate that once one is eligible, then there is a form that is part of the schedules that one would be expected to fill, so that you can use that form as the application for the houses. And then there is also now the board that is supposed to sit and verify the documents that have been tabled before it, and then evaluate the ability of the applicant to be able to repay the loan. So once that is confirmed, then therefore it goes to the next level. But then there's also timelines given, because sometimes if there is no timeline, then these boards can work forever on a simple thing. So it indicates that within 90 days, that whole process must be done. Now, once you are eligible and you have applied properly, then there is now the allocation criteria. And then they say that upon successful application to the board, then one shall be allocated the houses. Madam Speaker, it also indicates that sometimes the board might say no, not everybody will be eligible, not everybody will apply and get. So it also indicates that in case the board's decision is made, then it has to be made within 14 days. And that is when they are going to decline, in case they are going to decline an application. And after that, it is important that they notify the applicant, because many times we apply for things, but you never know your fate, because you've sent the application, there is no law indicating what happens. So these regulations show that within 14 days, you'll be notified if you don't qualify. So you'll be notified that you are not successful in that application. And of course, later on within the regulations, it also indicates how you can seek redress if you are dissatisfied. Now, it also indicates in case they decline your application, then what happens? They indicate that you'll be able, the money that you have deposited in pursuit of procurement of that house, then will be returned to you as your voluntary savings. So basically, it is really a straightforward way of making sure that the affordable housing process is followed to the letter. Madam Speaker, the only concern I had, which is not in the regulations, because I fully support the regulations, and I try to raise these with the PS, is how do we make it even more transparent, so that there is no individual or group of individuals that can take advantage of this hard-earned taxpayers' money, because these houses are being put up with monies that are contributed by all citizens. How do we make sure that nobody can sit and favor certain cadre of staff, certain individuals, certain people? How do we make sure that no one has the ability to give their friends or their relatives? That basically was the only thing that I felt was not answered, and I'm certain that going forward, they might need to consider that. But Madam Speaker, I will say this, and why I was raising that, because recently, I support the Harambee Stars 100% that they should win. But the President did offer to give affordable houses to the players. And he said he would pay for them. But then my question was, did we want to have a law where the president has access and can be able to say, give Robert Mbui a house and give Chepkonga a house, but do not give so-and-so a house? I felt that was one of the things that they need to address going into the future, because we want to make this transparent and open.
Yes, we have a point of order from the majority leader. What is out of order, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah?
You know, Honorable Speaker, my good friend Robert was doing very well in articulating what is provided for in these regulations. But you know, now when it turns to political issues, he has selective hearing on what the president says. And I just want to clarify to him, the president offered to help the Harambee Stars players to get their affordable housing units. And if you listened carefully, he told them after that statement, the first thing you do, register. And that is what is being provided for in the regulations. So there is nothing in the regulations that allows the president, even the president, to give you an affordable housing unit. That is why he asked them to register. Then he will help them to pay for the deposit and get allocated the housing units. And that is exactly what you have been articulating there before, that the regulations provide for the criteria. And if you do not qualify, for instance, you may not qualify because you do not have a deposit. Therefore, the president is guaranteeing the Harambee Stars players that you will not fail to qualify because you did not have a deposit, since he will pay the deposit for them. And this is the spirit that we should be encouraging our Harambee Stars team to work with. And I was hoping that the Honorable Mbui would have now offered that the housing units that are being done in Machakos or in Kathiani, for instance, that he would also pay for a number of his constituents the deposits. Like I've offered to pay for 3 Mama Mbogas and 2 Boda riders in my constituency. Affordable housing units for the housing units being done in Kikuyu. The deposit. Thereafter, they will be able to access the loans that are provided for here. And it's also important to clarify that these loans, again, there's a criteria being provided for in this regulation. And Robert knows that for sure, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would not want to have a back and forth.
Before you conclude the seconding this motion, honorable members, we have many students seated in the public gallery, and I would like to acknowledge them. I hope they have not left. Moody Awori Primary School from Funyula constituency in Busia County. Sarue Academy from Sabatia constituency in Vihiga County. Turuturu Junior School from Baringo North constituency, Baringo County. Muchoko Junior School, Baringo North constituency, Baringo County. Kiptaiwa Junior School, Baringo North constituency, Baringo County. And Kasrima Junior School, all from Baringo County. I would like to ask the Honorable Robert Mbui, as you conclude, please welcome all the students for us in the House. Please try the
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This one is working. On behalf of the House, thank you for this opportunity to welcome all those institutions that have come to the House of Parliament. Many times I hear members telling them that maybe they want to be members of Parliament. I want to just go against that and say that there are many careers open in the world. This is just one of them. So you can be whatever you choose to be. And the sky is the limit for you when you're in school. So take advantage of that time, do the right thing, and ensure that you open the future for yourselves. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I just wanted to say that the majority leader may have misunderstood me a little. I have actually absolutely nothing against the president and the wish to support Harambee Stars, because I'm a big fan. But Madam Speaker, my concern...
Honorable Mbui, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm just concluding. My concern was really, how do we make this affordable housing issue in such a way, created in such a way that no one has authority directly, including the president, to be able to say, I can give a house to so-and-so. That authority must not rest in an individual, because this is money for all of us. These are taxes for all of us. I think it's important that that goes into the future regulations, because that's a question that I asked and the PS was unable to answer. And I want, as we go forward, we make sure that we tighten, because sometimes, and I'm not talking about the current regime, someone can be president and decide that all those houses will be given to their relatives and their friends at the expense of the taxpayer. So basically that is what I was saying. Let's just tighten the laws that we make in this house. Make laws not for today, but for prosperity. Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulations 2025, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 12th August 2025, and pursuant to provisions of Section 59(4) of the Affordable Housing Act, Act Number 2 of 2024, this House approves the Affordable Housing Regulations published as legal notice number 114 of 2025. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to support this motion on the consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulations of 2025. Honorable Speaker, I hear what Robert Mbui says, Honorable Speaker, and it's indeed important that we have a set criteria first to determine who qualifies for affordable housing and how are these houses allocated. And that is precisely what these regulations, Honorable Speaker, are doing. Honorable Speaker, one of the things after President William Ruto commissioned and handed over the keys of Pukuru, affordable housing in Embakasi South, and later some other housing units in Kisumu and Homa Bay, and Kenyans got to see that, unlike what they were being told before, that this housing thing is all a lie. Because you remember many of our competitors on the political arena had said that this housing was a lie, it would never happen, is a conduit for theft, and this money would never build any houses, Honorable Speaker. And in fact, many have said in funerals and other political fora, asking, who told these people we want houses? Now, surprisingly, Honorable Speaker, the challenge now is on the demand. And therefore, it's imperative that we have regulations, as have been tabled before the Delegated Legislative Committee, regulations that will ensure that we have a clear criteria on how do we identify the beneficiaries of those houses, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you go to part 8 of these regulations, Honorable Speaker, on the miscellaneous provisions, it includes, Honorable Speaker, the categorization of affordable housing, because there is social housing, there is market rate housing, there is social housing, there is institutional housing. Therefore, this part categorizes what is an affordable housing unit, what is the social housing unit, and what is market rate or market value housing. For instance, the Honorable Robert Mbui, as we were saying, as a member of parliament, he cannot, under any circumstances, qualify for affordable housing or social housing. But he can qualify for market value, which will pay much more, or myself, for instance, Honorable Speaker, and many other Kenyans who are able to pay for market rate housing, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, when you apply for a house, you'll be able to classify in your application whether you are applying for social housing, that is at the bottom of the pyramid, or affordable housing, or market value housing, Honorable Speaker. The same part also speaks to the establishment of an electronic system for the allocation of an affordable housing unit. And it says that this electronic system is what the mover of the motion was alluding to, that there will be no human intervention, Honorable Speaker. When I apply for my market rate house, I do not need to know the principal secretary or the minister. I do not need to know anybody in government. Honorable Speaker, I was shocked the other day, a good friend of mine who is a bishop, asking me, how can you help me to get allocated a unit at the Kikuyu Affordable Housing project? And I simply typed back on my WhatsApp message and told the bishop, good bishop, by simply registering in Bomayangu and following the instructions therein. Honorable Speaker, I've had friends in the diaspora who are asking the same questions. How do we in the diaspora afford or get to access these affordable housing units? Some want to buy for their parents, some want to buy for themselves, some want to buy for their relatives back here. And I've told many of them, you do not need to know anybody. Honorable Speaker, you know, Kenyans, we are accustomed to, you must know somebody to get something. I want to tell Kenyans, you do not need to know anybody. Not the leader of majority, not the deputy leader of minority, Honorable Robert Mbui, not the leader of minority, nobody, not the PS, not the minister, not even the president. All you need to do is to know the procedure of registration through Boma Yangu, contribute for your deposit. And Honorable Speaker, these regulations are also provided now for that deposit. Fortunately, that deposit has now been moved from 10% of the value of the house to only 5%. You only need to contribute. If a house is $1 million shillings, you only need 50,000 shillings now to be able to make a deposit, Honorable Speaker. And that is something Kenyans need to know. And I want to invite Kenyans from across the board, even those in the diaspora, my good bishop friends and church leaders who are asking how we can help them. We do not need to help you. All you need to do, maybe we can help you through the empowerment programs to raise deposits to the 5%. But you do not need any help from anybody to be able to access these units. The system is foolproof. The system is transparent. A very accountable system, electronic system, that when you apply and you meet the criteria, the regulations here are also telling us that if you do not meet the criteria, there is also, the regulation provide for an appeal mechanism. How can you appeal? Probably it is a deposit that you have not met the threshold of the 5%. You can get back your deposit, you can continue saving and apply for another unit elsewhere. And you do not need necessarily to apply for a unit within your locality. I have been encouraging Kenyans. These houses being built in Nairobi are not for anybody. They are for the people of Kathiani, the people of Kikuyu, the people of Kisumu, the people of Karachuonyo, the people from Lodwar. Honorable Speaker, these regulations also have answered a very critical question. Honorable Speaker, if you allow me an extra minute so that I make that point. The question of rural housing. One of the salient issues during the second reading of this, the affordable housing bill, before it became an act of parliament, was to answer those questions for those naysayers and the pessimists who are asking, who said we want houses? Everybody has a house in their rural areas. The Honorable Chepkonga, in moving this motion, has alluded to that fact, that there are those far-flung districts of our country where we have huge tracts of land. And if you go and build, for instance, high-rise housing in our rural areas where people have a lot of land, then they will ask you, how can we, for instance, Honorable Speaker, with immense respect to our pastoral communities, our brothers from Turkana are asking, how do we go and live in multi-dwelling units when we have all this land at our disposal? Honorable Speaker, now these regulations are creating the avenue for rural housing. And rural housing, it's not necessary for government institutions and the agencies involved in affordable housing to come and build a house for you. There is now an avenue for you to access money to go and build a house for yourself in your rural area. Therefore, those in Western Kenya who do not want high-rise buildings, those in northeastern Kenya, those in the northern part of Kenya, or in Masai Land who do not want high-rise buildings, apartments, Honorable Speaker, can now access a loan. And the procedure is being provided for in these regulations. How do you access a loan to now go build the house you want? You want a bungalow, 5 bedrooms. All you need is to pay a deposit, access the mortgage, get the money, build the house. And of course, now the criteria on how to qualify, how they will supervise to ensure that that money is not diverted to buying cattle or goats. It goes towards ensuring that even Kenyans in rural areas are able to get housing, Honorable Speaker. These regulations are timely, Honorable Speaker, and therefore support and urge members to support and encourage Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, to access these houses through the platforms that are provided for, the electronic platforms. Start saving through Boma Yangu and build your 5% deposit. As I said, the deposit has come down to 5% from 10% that was provided for earlier, Honorable Speaker. And this is encouraging because even within the banking industry, Honorable Speaker, there is no bank that will give you a house at 5% deposit. But through this affordable housing program, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans will now be able to access housing, become homeowners, and generate wealth for themselves and their families and be able to grow our economy, Honorable Speaker. As we say that this affordable housing program is not just about affording houses to Kenyans. It's about our economy, growing our economy, creating jobs for people, creating opportunities, Honorable Speaker, for industrialization of our country. Today, Honorable Speaker, we have new cement factories in this country. We have new steel manufacturing companies, Honorable Speaker, that are rising every day out of this affordable housing process, Honorable Speaker, including the growth of our TVET and technical skills institutions, Honorable Speaker, that are training young men and women, Honorable Speaker. Last week, the President did announce that we will now embark on another program where graduates from our TVET and technical institutions, Honorable Speaker, will be guaranteed of internship programs in the affordable housing units, whether they're architects, whether they're draftsmen, whether they are artisans, whether they're electricians, or other technicians, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, these programs offers the Kenyan people, and especially our unemployed youth, immense opportunities, and I beg that we all support to make it become a reality across the country. To the naysayers, Honorable Speaker, those who are asking whether people in the rural areas want houses, now they can see we are able to provide good housing with good sanitation to our rural communities, Honorable Speaker, by affording them the opportunity to access loans and
Thank you. The Honorable, I've been seeing this Honorable Harold Kimunge Kipchumba nominated. If he left, then I think you should just remove it from the screen. Okay, the Honorable Irene Mayaka, nominated member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to support the regulations from the delegated committee. Honorable Speaker, looking at these particular regulations, I first want to refer the House back to Article 43 of the Constitution, which is very specific in the sense that it talks about rights to accessible and adequate housing and with reasonable standards of sanitation. Honorable Speaker, this is very specific in terms of what the Constitution provides. But in order for the Constitution to be actualized, it is upon this House to offer regulations that actually actualize this particular regulation. And Honorable Speaker, I've looked at the regulation in terms of the different parts and what it has provided, where Part 2 speaks about eligibility criteria for allocation of an affordable housing unit. And Honorable Speaker, this is in particular is very important because we have had situations where a lot of people do not know where to go and who to talk to in terms of getting access to affordable housing, because also, Honorable Speaker, the uptake has been extremely high in the recent 1 year. And this actually speaks to even the people who are naysayers about the affordable housing. Because, Honorable Speaker, the number of people who've taken up houses, including the ones that groundbreaking is just beginning, has really increased. So this particular provision in the regulation does assist with that. Honorable Speaker, Part 3 speaks about public institutions and provision of institutional housing. Again, this is very important because we have very many colleges, Honorable Speaker, in different parts of the country. We have KMTCs, we have universities in different parts of the country. We have different institutions that actually have a need for affordable housing, and therefore this particular part is really going to help with that because it then gives regulations in terms of how the approach towards this. Honorable Speaker, Part 4 speaks about the offtake. It sets out requirements on approval of an institution to offer financing for offtake and procedures for approval. Because, Honorable Speaker, we do have a lot of financial institutions that want to plug into this particular noble cause, but they've not been able to do so adequately because there was no regulation in place. So, Honorable Speaker, because of this particular Part 4 regulation that offers the offtake plan and how financial institutions should come in place, I really want to encourage...
Honorable Mayaka, I realize I can now see the card for the Honorable Patrick Ntwiga Chuka Igamba Ngombe. Are you saying that your card has been on from the time you sat from morning? And I noted that you have been there throughout. Honorable members, I would like to apologize. I have information that you may have inserted your card, but you are not able to see on the screen. So in case you want to contribute, please also make use of your hand. But for now, you may conclude, Honorable Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'll also make this very brief so that other members can have an opportunity. Honorable Speaker, also Part 6 speaks about transfer of ownership of affordable housing units, which is very significant because in the African tradition and where we find ourselves in this particular country, a lot of people want an opportunity to be able to transfer ownership to either their families or their heirs or people who are dependent on them. And therefore, this particular regulation does give provisions for that particular circumstance. And finally, Honorable Speaker, is to look at Part 8, which speaks about electronic system for the allocation of an affordable housing unit. And Honorable Speaker, I am a very big proponent of using electronic system in these particular situations because they are less prone to error than using manual systems, and also because they make this, the process become more easier and more seamless. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I'd just like to urge fellow members to support this particular regulation because they are meant to assist in ensuring that the Affordable Housing Act does come into effect in a proper manner and in a manner that actually seeks to serve our people. With those few remarks, I support and I submit. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Timothy Toroitich, member for Marakwet West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this, on the approval of these particular regulations. That is the Affordable Housing Regulations of number 114 of 2025. Honorable Speaker, these regulations are very important because they are made pursuant to Section 59 of the Affordable Housing Act, which provides, Honorable Speaker, that for proper implementation of the legislation, then the regulation must be in place so that the Affordable Housing Act can be implemented effectively. Honorable Speaker, of importance is the reduction of the deposit from the initial 10% to 5%. Honorable Speaker, that is very important so that every Kenyan can be able to get an house in this country if he wants to purchase. Honorable Speaker, if there is a reason for the current president to be re-elected, then, Honorable Speaker, we only need one reason, and that reason is the affordable housing in this country. Honorable Speaker, it has given a platform to every Kenyan who can be able to make that deposit and to pay a very small amount of money. Then that Kenyan can be able to get that particular housing. Honorable Speaker, the only challenge I have, and I want to bring to attention of Honorable Chepkonga, Honorable Chepkonga, who is the chair of this committee. If you read, Honorable Speaker, under Section 59.3.2, it says, the CS shall table before Parliament the regulations made under this section within 30 days of the commencement of this Act. Honorable Speaker, that is the law, that it should have been brought 30 days before the commencement of the Affordable Housing Act. And the date of commencement of the Affordable Housing Act was the date of the assent. So even as a house in future, I think we should be careful when drafting these particular provisions of law so that we give time to the executive to prepare these particular regulations. But, Honorable Speaker, irrespective of that, I still support so that we can be able to fully implement and effect this particular Affordable Housing Act. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I also want to call upon the Committee on Delegated Legislation to think and rethink about the process of making regulations in this country. Because if you give the executive power to make law, and this House has no role in amending a statutory instrument, then we are taking the power of lawmaking from this House. Because, Honorable Speaker, as it is, these regulations have come from the executive. This House, as an option, as the only option that we have, is to either accede to it as a whole or annul without amending even a comma. So in future, this committee of Chepkonga should sit down and reason and amend the Statutory Instruments Act of 2013 so that this House can have a say and have a say in terms of these instruments so that we can even amend or make certain suggestions. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, I support these particular regulations, and if there is no any other reason for the re-election of William Ruto, the affordable housing is enough to re-elect him for a second term. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. 2 term.
Thank you very much, Honorable Toretich. Honorable members, I would like to reorganize business for the purpose of tabling reports, and I would like to give the first opportunity to the Honorable Gikaria.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 14th August 2025. Joint report of the Departmental Committee on Energy and Select Committee on Public Debt and Privatization on the consideration of sessional paper number 2 of 2025 on the proposed privatization of Kenya Pipeline Company Limited.
Thank you very much, Chair Energy. The Honorable Chepkonga, on behalf of Departmental Committee on Transport, please proceed and have the paper laid.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 14th August 2025. Report of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on its consideration of the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chepkonga. And the Honorable Bashir, on behalf of Departmental Committee on Security.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 14th August 2025. A report of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on its approval hearing of 2 nominees for appointment as a chairperson and member of the National Police Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
With you, Honorable Gikaria.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Energy and Select Committee on Public Debt and Privatization on the consideration of the sessional paper number 2 of 2025 on the proposed privatization of Kenya Pipeline Company, laid on the table of this House on Thursday, 14th August 2025, and approved sessional paper number 2 of 2025 on the privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Company. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Bashir, on behalf of Security Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Notice of motion. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, and that is on behalf of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security, that taking into consideration the findings of the Board Committee on Administration and Internal Security on its report on the approval hearing of nominees for appointment as the chairperson and member of the National Police Service Commission, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 14th August 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 246(2) and 252 of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following nominees as chairperson and member of the National Police Service Commission. 1, Dr. Amani Yuda Komora, MBS, chairperson. 2, Mrs. Angela Yomini Siparo, EPS, member. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Now we can proceed. The next opportunity. I know, Honorable Dr. Ochanda, your card is not working, but now the first opportunity will go to the Honorable Patrick Mtwiga, member for Chuka Igamba Ng'ombe.
Thank you, Speaker, for this opportunity. Because I might say a few things that might look as if I'm not supporting these regulations, Speaker, I first want to start by clarifying that I started to support these regulations. And secondly, to say that the housing project is one of the most progressive projects that have been started in this country. Madam Speaker, it's a project that's faced so much opposition, but when I looked at the opposition the housing project faced, I really thought it was neither here nor there, because I had the opportunity of going through all the manifestos of all the parties that were going for the last election. Since the time of Uhuru Kenyatta, all the parties have had housing as an agenda in their manifestos. But I want to congratulate President William Ruto for the courage to start this project as a very important project in these countries. Going to the regulations, Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate this committee because they have answered so many questions that have been asked by Kenyans. 1, what is the criteria for allocation of these houses? This regulations answers this very important question. 2, how can I pass my house over to somebody else after I buy it? These regulations, Madam Speaker, answers this important question. Question number 3, and that have really been used and misused by people who don't support the project, is what will happen to those people who have houses and they are contributing. Madam Speaker, these regulations answers this question, that you can get a loan now and put up your own house using this money. Madam Speaker, looking at the provision for constructing houses for institutions, at being the Vice Chairman of the Health Committee, I just remembered that hospitals also are institutions. So as we discuss TVET, as we discuss KMTCs at universities, Madam Speaker, if you go to an hospital like Kenyatta or Madhali or Moi or Jaramogi, and you find people queuing in a ward or sleeping in a ward, and we know hospitals recover money from people sleeping in a ward. So why can't we put up a ward for an hospital and the housing levy will still be recovered from the same? So I think these are very innovative fad that this country has started. And about the opposition, and I hear so many people worried about it, you can't start a project and expect 100% support. At that times, people are not opposed to something because they are against it. It's because some questions are not answered. Like now, so many people are asking, what happens to people who are contributing and they want to put up their own house, not to buy in the affordable housing? People are asking, what happens to somebody who buys a house and in our African tradition, later I want to pass it over to my children? So these questions have been answered by this regulation. So I find, Madam Speaker, that I would wish to state that I find that most of the questions and opposition that this project were facing were because the regulations are not being put across, because looking at this regulation, they fill all the gaps, they fill all the boxes that you've really been struggling as parliamentarians to explain to our people, Madam Speaker. And finally, Madam Speaker, when we look at the housing project, I feel so happy when I meet friends who are not employed, who are not contributors of the housing levy, and they tell me, Mheshimiwa, you contributed, but Itimi has bought a house. I feel so good. I feel that I've helped somebody get a house. So, Madam Speaker, I wish to say that these regulations were long overdue. Maybe the lack of these clear regulations caused so many questions from our people. These questions now are answered through these regulations. So I would ask our members of parliament, let's go through this regulation so that as we explain to people what is the housing fund, what is the housing project, we have clear information, we have answers to the questions they have been asking us, because most of the answers were not because the housing project was banned, but so many things were not answered yet that these regulations are answering now. I support, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Dr. Gideon Ochanda.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, one thing that we have to recognize, and the chair needs to recognize this much more than anybody else, is that we are late with the regulation. It's very good, it's very necessary, but we are late with it. Remember, as we are debating about the regulation now, people had started paying 1.5 years ago. And they were paying minus any guidance. So in my view, Madam Speaker, I think the Department of Housing needs to be guided seriously that by the time this thing is adopted, they need to simplify it in a manner that people can consume it quickly, so that it helps everybody else to understand this process that's going on, this scheme. Madam Speaker, having said that, we've had housing schemes, I think since 69, 68. We've had housing schemes. And as at now, Kenyans are sometimes trying to forget that these housing schemes are also still running. So everybody's trying to get to the new arrangement of affordable housing as though there is no any other. Those old schemes that we've known all along are still running. They are going on. So this is just a new attempt to make sure that at least those who have been getting excluded, because those other ones, those are schemes that we are talking about, were service schemes. You pay as you earn based on your incomes and all that, based on your salaries, and it's your own choice to go and pick a house. But at the moment, it was basically for those who are able to. This scheme is now for those who may not be able to. And it works like an insurance. And this is something that many people don't understand. There was a time that I was trying to explain to some young people about this last respect insurance scheme. Then they say, no, you pay 1,000 bob per year annually or something like that. Then one says, but what if I die? So what do you want to do with money when you're already dead? And this is the situation we are in here. Why am I contributing to a house that I'm not going to have? We are doing it for purposes, not necessarily for yourself, but for many others. It's like an insurance scheme where you don't pay insurance arrangement for your car, and then you go ahead and cause an accident. Or you go ahead and make sure that your car gets an accident because you are going to be paid. I think this is where we are getting it wrong and needs a proper explanation that we are able to move on. The other thing, Madam Speaker, is that we need to recognize that this is a long term. It's an improvement on what has been existing. We expect anybody coming in 2032 also to come up with another quality arrangement in terms of how we want to move with the housing, adding on what's going on. But it's long term in the essence that if we go on with it for a period of time, it's going to help us solve one big problem that I want to believe many members have seen. The kind of settlement arrangements we have in this country doesn't exist anywhere in the world, where everybody wakes up and builds anything because they have their land somewhere. People stay in places that are purposes for housing, and then you leave the other spaces for purposes of different utilities and different, let's say, for purposes of farming, forestry, and this many other things. If you go to the rest of the world, the settlements arrangement are such that people don't just stay anywhere they want. So this scheme, in my view, in a period of time, if it is focused with that direction, can help us and can help this country in terms of reorganizing, planning for how we utilize our land use is the biggest problem that we have here. And in my view, Madam Speaker, if we went on like that, it is going to be much more important for this country in the future. So the other thing, Madam Speaker, as I conclude is, if we make an attempt as a country to break down the pay, so that people don't ask too many questions, because nobody asks questions about pay that they pay. Where does it go to? But they're asking for a decimal percentage of housing. Where does it go? Yet pay is bigger than that decimal percentage. So maybe with time, we break down the pay that part of the pay goes for housing. Part of the pay, percentages of the pay, for example, so that people are able to understand what we are trying to do, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Mark Mwenje, member for Embakasi West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honourable Speaker, one of the biggest issues that we have when it comes to the affordable housing is the fair allocation of these houses. Honourable Speaker, when you go, after the launch was done in Embakasi South, in Mukuru, there was a very big hike in application for these houses. And one of the issues, Honourable Speaker, is we have so many people who apply for these houses, get rejected, and they all resort to looking for members of parliament or people in power, trying to find a way to get these houses. That is one of the biggest issues. And Honourable Speaker, if we don't sort that issue, then the whole program will lose meaning, and the public will lose confidence in that issue. Honourable Speaker, people who get these houses, we must get to know who these people are. This information must be made public. In this part 2 that provides for allocation of affordable houses, we must ensure that it is clear how these houses have been applied for and who are the beneficiaries of these houses, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I would support the lowering of the deposit to 5%. Standard transactions usually is 10%, and you have to complete the transaction within 90 days. This truly makes it affordable, and at least it makes it affordable actually to those who come from low-income households, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, my question is this issue of loans that are provided to rural areas. I find it strange, Honourable Speaker, that the Affordable Housing Act would be willing to provide money for you to build a house in a rural area. Well, Honourable Speaker, for some of us in urban constituencies, Embakasi West in particular, where we have a population of over 350,000 people, this Affordable Housing Act does not provide provisions for certain areas where perhaps the fund can be used to even acquire land to build these affordable houses. So, Honourable Speaker, I find it strange that there are areas here in Nairobi, and I'll be specific, Embakasi North, Embakasi West, Embakasi East, and I know there are other areas also, I'm sure in other urban constituencies, where we've got no land to build these affordable houses, but we have our people who are paying this money. So how will they benefit? Does that mean they apply for houses and move to other areas? So that is an issue that I think at some point we'll need to discuss. Honourable Speaker, this issue, and perhaps the chairman will need to clarify further the issue for institutional housing, the issue of renovation of some of these houses, which I think can be a positive idea, especially considering some of the houses in Nairobi where, for instance, where the police live, where some of the civil servants live, if those houses can be renovated under this program, that is something quite welcome. But more importantly, I'd be keen whether this can also apply to county houses. If you look at the houses, some of them which I even have in my constituency, Karubangi South, Honourable Speaker, the houses, I know that the residents there would be very much willing if the affordable housing program can partner with the county.
Honourable Gishimu, your hand is up. You have a point of order? Yes, what is out of order?
Yes, Honourable Speaker, listening to Honourable Mwenje and all the other speakers, I rise under Standing Order 95, and owing to the importance of these regulations for purposes of effecting the houses that have already been delivered, I think it's important that the mover be called to reply so that we can put this matter to rest. Honourable Speaker.
Well, I would like to give a chance to the Honourable Mwenje to conclude.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I believe there's only one more person who has interest here. And as I conclude, Honourable Speaker, the issue of transferring of these affordable houses, Honourable Speaker, one of the issues that I'm afraid that might be preyed here in Nairobi, and we've seen with those houses that are being recovered by the county, is that we have certain wealthy businessmen who might be able to acquire these houses from people who've acquired them through the affordable scheme. And then these people, because they are wealthy, they'll go out there and just offer money and acquire these houses. Honourable Speaker, I'm hoping that these provisions will protect those people who acquire these houses so that we ensure that we don't have those wealthy people here in Nairobi and elsewhere acquire these houses from these poor people, which eventually they'll end up moving back to the slums again because the lure for getting the money is quite there and available. So that's something I'm hoping will be provided for in these regulations. With that, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Ishimo, I take note of what you said, but however, I would like to give a chance to the Honorable Wanjiku Muhia. Wanjiku Muhia, are you able to make it short?
In fact, I'll do
in the interest
less
of
than
time.
2 minutes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I start to oppose these regulations because in the first place, this scheme is implemented in the wrong way. Honorable Speaker, Kenyans have been asking, why do they pay money through the levy, the housing levy? The land belongs to the government, and government land is also bought or purchased through taxes, and again, they go and pay when they are purchasing. For this reason, Honorable Speaker, I oppose these regulations. They are even not timely. They could have come way before, but I could support this program and these regulations if these houses were built next to the institutions, because we see how our university students are suffering, looking for hostels here and there. If these houses were built next to the hospitals like Kenyatta Referral and others, because we know even at the hospitals, the patients are still suffering. Otherwise, it does not make sense, and the one-term movement will be realized by the taxpayers who pay house levy, and this should be order number 1 to abolish the housing program at Kasarani by the incoming government of United Opposition. Thank you, Honorable.
I want to find out whether it is the mood of the House that I call upon the mover to reply. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? Nay. There is have it. Mover.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. You know, the Honorable Wanjiku Muhia, she's my very good friend, but she claims that the United Opposition will abolish. I think they are still very far away from getting the votes to abolish anything. So we wish them well in becoming number 2 in 2027. We can contend with that in 2032. Madam Speaker, I have 2 people that just want to speak for 1 minute. The Honorable Oluoch, who are members of my committee, and Honorable Bashir. Just 1 minute only. Honorable Bashir and Honorable Oluoch.
Actually, you are completely out of order.
Okay, I'm out of order. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there was Honorable Kipchumba Timothy raised the question of whether these regulations were tabled within the specified period of 30 days. Madam Speaker, the draft regulations were indeed tabled within 30 days. And then we asked them to conduct public participation. That's the reason why. And I think the Committee on Housing must be very careful. You don't make a law that cannot be complied with. Surely you cannot ask somebody to make regulation within 30 days, conduct public participation. It is not possible because they have to get views from members or citizens of this country across the country. So it's important that this is considered. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank every member who has contributed, and I beg to reply. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put the question that this House adopts a report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation and its consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulation 2025, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 12th August 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 59(4) of the Affordable Housing Act, Act number 2 of 2024, this House approves the Affordable Housing Regulations published as legal notice number 114 of 2025. As many as have that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. Nay. There is have it. Honorable members, and the time now being 2 minutes past 1 p.m., this House stands adjourned until today, Thursday, 14th of August 2025 at 2:30 p.m.